Gonna make sure everything's set up the way I need it to be set up. And let me know if my audio is coming through okay in the comments. If anybody jumps on, just let me know you can hear me loud and clear, or I can't hear you. your audio. Can you hear me? And, adjust it because you got to be able to see. That's right. That's right. We're getting right to it. We're gonna train. Is my audio coming through well? I'm gonna set an alarm for about 45 minutes here. Counting is so hard. We'll see. We'll call it. We'll do like this. Okay. I'm getting notification that my stuff is set up correctly. I'm gonna set up here. Okay. To start off with, we're gonna do some kihon, and I'm gonna explain some of the purpose of this. Right. So we start beginners a lot of times with standing in a kibadachi stance. So double shoulder width apart with the feet pointing straight forward. Knees are bent. Knees are pushed out, and this allows you to push against the floor and drive your hips. So you pull this hip back and you turn this hip forward, and you can do that just with the hips without moving your legs and knees a lot. Your legs and knees are working, they're holding attention to allow that hip twist. But if you were to point your toes even more inward, which I can barely do, that turn would be even sharper, but it's very unnatural position for your knees and your ankles and your feet. Whereas with the feet straight forward, you're still getting rotation and torque, but it's a more natural position for your feet and knees than if you were turned even further in. The more you bring your feet out and point your feet out, the harder it is. Like that rotation gets sloppy, it's not sharp. You can't make a sharp hip movement as well when your feet are pointing out here. So it teaches you how to engage the hip. So we start them here doing that. Our Sanchin Dachi does exactly the same thing. You see my feet are actually kind of angled in. The back foot's straight, but that front foot is angled in, which means my hips are very engaged. So I can turn my hip to put force and energy into my strike by keeping my stance strong. So the stronger my stance is, the more I have my knees bent, the more I have my feet in the correct position, the more I can use the floor to make a sharp hip twist. So for beginners, we're teaching them to do it from this position because they tend to, if you watch beginning level students, they tend to stand with their legs straight. They disengage their entire lower body every time they do an upper body technique. So it's like if I'm punching, it doesn't matter what my legs are doing. And so this teaches them how to, okay, feel your legs. Feel that you need your knees bent. Feel how you can push off the floor to get some of that energy and force. So we teach them, you can teach kihon zuki, basic punch. You could do the same thing with shote. You could do a palm strike, shote. You can do nukite. You can do mawashi zuki. You can do agizuki. You can do a lot of things from that position. You can do haito, going out like this. So we start them with the hand techniques for kibadachi. With the foot techniques, to teach the basic foot techniques, we bring it into heikodachi like this, because we're not using our legs to drive off the floor to get hip torque. Now we're just teaching the basic technique. Stand in a kind of normal stance here. Do my geri, teach them how to do regular front kick. Teach them how to do sokoto geri, which is you pick your knee up, sokoto with the sword foot, knee up, sokoto with the sword foot. Teach some of those kicks from there. You can teach ushiro geri from right here. Look back and throw your kick. Look back and throw your kick. So that's step one, is teach the beginners how to do things from kibadachi, teach the basics from kibadachi, teach the basics from heikodachi. And you teach sanshin. So they're learning how to do the stance, how to do sanshin stance, how to use the principles of engaging their hip a little bit for their strike while making that correct stance. Then we're going to get into walking across the floor in a sanshin stance and using that the same way with our upper body techniques. Hips don't lie. Do, 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 do. Exactamente. All right. Hi. Hello, hello. And a thumbs up. We got some red X's. We got some green check marks. Hiya. Hiya. All right. Good. Everybody's got the right mentality here in the chat. All right. So we're going to walk across the floor. And this time, we're going to make that stance, sanshin dachi. This is the next step for beginners. Like once you're teaching them how to engage the hip from that position, now they can practice learning about the upper level, middle level, and lower level targets for technique. This is basically just going to be a basic punch, but we're going to go jodan, shudan, gedan. Jodan, shudan, gedan, yotsuki. And we're going to walk across the floor with it. So now you're learning how to use the body with the sanshin dachi. Jodan, shudan, gedan. 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 And you can move your feet with it more. Now that's the next level, is more like a chukyu type movement where you're moving your feet. So because you've learned that keeping the hips a little bit close, not opening your hips all the way and then closing them. If you open your hips all the way, like if I'm way out here and then I try to close my hip, I don't have much drive off the floor if my foot's pointed out. My foot needs to be pointed mostly forward to be able to press off the floor, right? Like if I was a sprinter and I'm getting ready to start running fast, I'm not going to turn my foot toes way out here. I'm going to be where I can get a little bit of drive off of that. You put the block under your heel so you can drive off of that, because you got to be pointed forward and make that motion. So it's the same thing. I want to be pointed forward and then close the hip from there. And so when I'm making my sanshin stance, I'm going to drive forward and then the hip comes at the end of the technique. So you drive forward and then the hip moves at the end of the technique. You can also do this if you're fighting and you're here. You can throw your hook punch. So you rotate your heel out a little bit here. That closes the hips, right? So I'm here, I throw that lead hook. Throw that lead hook. Here, I throw the rear hand, the rear straight punch. So that's kind of how that works. So now we can do the chukyu, which is you slide. So slide, 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 slide. Sagate. Boom, slide back. This one, you're going to have to go kind of in place just to manage your forward and backward progress. Otherwise, you'll do 3 forward and 1,000 going back, right? So boom, 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 back, all right. That's probably all I have to say about the topic of keeping the hips closed and getting that rotation. So now we're going to do the next movement, which is we're going to do those kicks. So I talked about start beginners off doing the kicks from heikodachi, shoulder width apart, standing in one spot. Practice your front kick, practice your sokutogeri. I cannot do a backflip. I will hurt myself. I am, yeah, not a gymnast. I'm a martial artist. Right? So we're going to go kick gate on. Again, we're teaching the levels. Gate on, shoot on, jodan, sokutogeri. Right? Gate on, low level, shoot on, middle level, jodan, high level, sokutogeri. All right. And then you could walk backwards with that. It's hard though. Shura, jodan, sokuto, gedan, chudan, jodan, sokuto. Right? So you can kind of walk it back. A long time, like 25 years. All right, so next we're gonna go right foot in front, kick left first. Get on, shoot on, jodan, sokutogeri. Get on, shoot on, jodan, sokutogeri. Then going backwards, we'll go get on, shoot on, jodan, sokutogeri. Get on, shoot on, jodan, sokutogeri. Well, forever, forever, forever. All right. So next we're gonna go tate ken. So we're sliding into it. Tate ken, shoshikomi, yoku hiji uchi. All right. So we're gonna slide in. Boom. No wind up here. You're just right here. Tate ken, shoshikomi, yoku hiji. Then I have to turn around to go back the other way. Tate ken, shoshikomi, yoku hiji, no wind up. Tate ken, shoshikomi, yoku hiji uchi. Correct. Yeah, except the back. That's funny. All right, next, my kagatogeri. So heel kick, going forward. All right, so ready. Reach with your heel, my kagatogeri. Ni, san, shi, go, sagate. Ichi, ni, san, shi, go. Next is diote urake. Diote urake. Boom. Walk forward across the floor, then walk backwards across the floor. Diote urake. Diote urake. Diote urake. Diote urake. All right. Next one's going to be a fun one. Oh, God. Trampoline and some Advil is crazy. All right. So this one's kaiten moashigeri. So if you're practicing without much space, or you're just beginning, you practice the individual moves first. So the whole move is going to be, you do an inside circle kick like this, and then you turn and you do an outside circle kick with the other foot like that. All right, so you take the rear foot, inside circle, turn, outside circle. All right, you can break that down into just a few inside circle kicks and a few outside circle kicks if you are if spaces of consideration, and you're just trying to get the kicks down. So let's do a few inside circle kicks. So you go inside, bring the leg up straight, and swing it. Leg up straight. If you're thinking about trying to use that in sparring, you can set it up with, throw like a lead hook out here, and then circle the other side. The other side, left hook, right kick. Right fist in front, right hook, left kick. Left fist in front, left hook, right kick. All right. Then you can practice outside circle kicks. Bring it out. So it swings out here and up. Out and up. Out and up. Out and up. Out and up. Okay. To set that up, usually maybe go off like a straight punch. Maybe you go low, like you kind of test the stomach a little bit, throw that punch at the stomach, and then bring that around and hit the side of the head. So throw that at the stomach. And for sparring, I don't really like to bring that leg up straight. I feel like it's slow. It's good for warming up the hips. But what I really want to do is I'm going to throw that punch to the stomach to test here, especially if I already like nailed them once. They see that coming, they're like, oh crap, here it comes again. And then I actually bend my knee as I lift it, and I kind of snap that as it comes around and hits the side of the head. So I punch the stomach, and you see how I close the hips on that punch to the stomach, boom, and then that allows me to bring it here, like that. Punch. All right. Now, if we were to complete that, when we do the spin, we can use that as a template for all kinds of movements. So, I can do kaiten moashigeri, which adjust my vision to the room here. Do an inside circle, turn, outside circle. Inside, turn, outside. Inside, turn, outside. Set it up with a punch. Inside, turn, outside. I like to throw that other hand. So I like to probe with like a lead hook here, throw my kick, and then I could spin and hit with a back fist. If they block that, I trap the arm, swipe it out of the way, and land my kick. So I go here with the lead hook, hit it, throw my back fist, or if they block that, try to trap the hand, throw my kick. It doesn't have to only be these straight leg kicks though. That's the trick. You can use the same format to kick the leg, spin, throw a back kick or a turning side kick. So it's the same principle. Bam, 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 low kick. Get the hands up here. Bam. Nail them with the back kick. All right. Bam, 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 bam. All right. You can set things up like that. And you can do that with a variety of different kicks, right? It could be you come here, boom, sokuto, ushirogeri. It could be regular mawashi knee bend, mawashigeri, boom, and then this could be a hook kick, back spinning hook kick to the head. Na 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 na. So we speak a lot of Japanese in the dojo. It's Okinawan karate. So that is, Okinawa is part of Japan. There are some cultural distinctions, but yes. All right, so we're gonna do Mawashigeri Tobigeri. So this one starts the same way. you could start with a lead hook. You can do the inside circle, just tap the foot down, then bring the same leg back across with your knee. They think that's going to be a kick, right? So it's like almost like a fake kick. Circle, fake kick by bringing the knee up, jump, inside circle with the other side. Now right foot's in front, circle, tap here, bring the knee up like it's a fake kick. Come back across an inside circle kick. So inside circle, bring the knee up, jump. Inside circle, bring the knee up, jump. Yep. So if you are following at home, don't kick your furniture. You can just practice those circle kicks in place. You don't have to do all of that. But it is good to practice because learning how to do that spin helps you do other spinning techniques, like a low round kick, spinning back fist. Yeah, it's true. That is facts. But just like English has become a very useful language commercially, like some people around the world, if you're watching from certain other countries, if you can understand what I'm saying, that might be partly because English is so prolific. And Japanese is similar for martial arts language. So it is useful whether we love every aspect of what happened in history or not. Some things are useful the way they are. Like if the Greeks hadn't conquered the Mediterranean area, and then if the Romans hadn't conquered that area, it would have been really difficult for Christianity to spread, because having everybody speaking Greek is a big part of why Christianity was able to spread so fast and have the early we've got the Septuagint, which is the Greek Old Testament, which goes back further than really our knowledge of even any of the Jewish writings of the Old Testament. And we also have all the New Testament stuff, for the most part, was originally written in Greek with a little bit of Aramaic sprinkled in. So kind of similar with Japanese language. People all over the world, when they learn karate, when they learn judo, when they learn kendo, iaido, jiu-jitsu, aikido, when they learn Japanese martial arts, they learn the Japanese terminology with it. So then you can go learn from some of the Japanese experts. All right. Let's get to it. Okay, so those are kind of the warm-up ones. You can see I'm warmed up. I'm breaking a sweat now. You're right. All right. So now we're going to start with Jodan Tsukyuke. Jodan Tsukyuke, we're going to go back and forward across the floor. And sometimes I kind of think of this like a jab, right? So in traditional karate techniques, at least in my system, we don't really have a jab, because each movement generally starts with a block. You start with defending against the opponent is doing something, so you're going to defend and hit them back. To attack somebody is to kind of go out of your posture and open yourself up to counterattacks, right? So the idea here is like you're almost in like a protective force field, right? If I step out of my protective force field, I might get hurt. But as long as I'm in my protective force field, I can address anything coming at me and counter, right? So they come into my force field, they're going to have problems. If I go into theirs, I might have problems. Fighting isn't that simple, right? Sometimes the more aggressive person just overwhelms the other person. And so if all you do is sit back and think defense, and you come against a hyper-aggressive person who just charges in, you might not be able to deal with that unless you have like a lot of experience. Um, so here, uh, we're going in like this. All right. So some people are thinking of this. Maybe it's like a jab, but your body's squared up. So it has the full power of a punch, even though it's with the front leg. Um, but you're not pulling back, so you don't have as much extension. So this is really designed to be able to block with your own punch. So as your opponent comes with their punch, I box out their punch, boom, and drive my punch in. Okay, if they come with this punch, I box their punch out with my punch. And the focus is on my punch, not so much the block. I'm not really thinking about the block. The block is just happening because they're trying to hit me, but my arm is going to occupy the same space and box their arm out of the way. Now, where it could be offensive is, let's say they have their hands up, we're playing this game. I go here, kind of tap, boom, and go right in with my punch. All right, so I'm out here, I'm kind of feeling out their defense. Their defense is out here, their hand is here. Oh, oh. All right, so I'm tap, take over with this hand as you move in to throw your punch. Okay, so here, boom, boom, tap, boom. Right, that's one way of thinking about this. Out of the way, because I don't think I'm going to need him for as much more. But that's a concept. So from back here, we're going to move in. Jodan Tsukyuke. And on the way back, grab. Jodan Tsukyuke. Sagate. Jodan Tsukyuke. Jodan Tsukyuke. Jodan Tsukyuke. Then lead with this one, Jodan Tsukyuke. Yakute Seiken Zuki. Jodan Tsukyuke, punch to the face. Boom, punch middle. Face, middle. Sagate. Boom, boom. Boom. Diote Tsukyuke, grab. Double punch, grab. Double punch, grab. Double punch, grab. Diote Tsukyuke. Diote Tsukyuke. All right, I've been thinking about this one because I'm having my students do Seiyu Bunkai. Seiyu kata goes here, 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 here. But my concern is I don't want to train people so that they're here. Like if someone's coming in to grab them by the neck and they block that out with their punch, I don't want them to necessarily just wait for someone to punch them, right? If that punch comes so fast, like they do this and immediately there's already a punch, boom, so be it. But if there's no punch coming, what I would like to see, I'm going to use Bob again. I made it like 20 seconds. It's awkward the way he like puts his arms on my shoulders here. Okay, so you're gonna move. Sometimes that's the great thing. You know, if you see the Wing Chun, I'm gonna call it a Wing Chun wooden dummy. It's called a Mook Jong. Mook Jong is a Chinese wooden dummy stand. It's got the wooden post. It's got two arms. Usually they're a little bit offset, one a little higher, one slightly under that, but they can symbolize arms. And you can like move through them by going around them and kind of hit, you know, make some contact with your arms, trap those as you go past, boom, boom, and go in with different hits. And there's also like a little stick that kind of comes out here that you can visualize. That's like a kick or a low punch, boom, 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 and you can work off of that a little bit. It's called Mook Jong. They use it a lot in Wing Chun, but also in other southern styles like Southern Mantis Fist, and I think a lot of styles that kind of involve some of those use that. So basically, that's kind of how I have Bob set up here, so I can play off of his arms. His arms don't make any contact. I have to adjust them constantly. those are the drawbacks. The obvious benefit is he's a little bit more anatomically correct, and I can kind of set this up how I want it, because those are a lot of times those arms are a little low for where people's punches are actually going to be on the mukjong, which is it's kind of cool because in I think mukjong must mean like a wooden man, because in the video game Tekken, I know in Tekken 3, I'm really dating myself, but in Tekken 3 there was Mokujin. Mokujin was I think that's Japanese Mokujin, but Mukjong I think means the same thing as Mokujin. All right, but it was like this wooden tree guy, wooden tree dummy, but you could move him and fight with him as a character. Anyhow, guy. All right, so he's coming to grab my throat. I block and I punch him here. Boom, go right in with those punches. If he does not like block that right away, and I really get him pretty good here, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down and control his upper arms. Bob doesn't have any upper arms, so I'm gonna content myself with the shoulders here. Boom, I'm gonna headbutt him in the face here. And then I'm going to drive a knee strike to the groin. So that's really what's going to happen. If this first one works as intended, I block his arms, punch him in the eyes, control the upper arm, headbutt, knee strike to the groin. With that knee strike to the groin, he's probably going to double up a little bit. I can get him behind the neck here, wham, pull him down. Coming in with a grab for your neck, grab for your throat, block and hit the eyes, control the arm, bang, boom, bam, all right, now we're going to get rid of Bob. So that's Diote Tsuki Buke. I just wanted to add that in because I was thinking about that. That was bothering me after the last class. I was like, man, I don't want them to like not go right in with their grab. That is, yeah. Mokujin, Tekken 3. Tekken 3. You gotta look that up. Tekken 3 was a big part of my childhood / martial arts development. Tek is iron, Ken is fist, like Seiken. So Tekken is Iron Fist. It's the Iron Fist tournament. Once again, fate brings together those who heed the call. I might post like a little clip of like Tekken later. All right. So let's do the Diote Tsukuge. Forward and back. Boom. And grab. In, grab. In, grab. Back. Right. Next, we're going to do Kosuke Shoshikomi. We're going to run out of time. I'm going to fly through. All right. Kosuke Shoshikomi. No wind up. Kosuke Shoshikomi. Kosuke Shoshikomi. Kosuke Shoshikomi. Kosuke Shoshikomi. Kosuke Shoshikomi. Kosuke Sensogeri. Kosuke Sensogeri. Kosuke Sensogeri. Kosuke Sensogeri. Kosuke Dojigeri. Kosuke Dojigeri. Kosuke Dojigeri. Kosuke Dojigeri. Geidan Tsukuke. Diote Ashibarai. Geidan Tsukuke. Diote Ashibarai. Geidan Tsukuke. Diote Ashibarai. Geidan Tsukuke. Diote Ashibarai. Geidan Tsukuke. Tsukuyage. Sokutogeri. Geidan Tsukuke. Tsukuyage. Sokutogeri. Tsukuke, Jodan Akyuke, Yakute Chudanzuki. Geidan Tsukuke, Jodan Akyuke. Here's where this becomes real relevant. Don't point this back foot way out. It's got to be mostly forward, so it has a little drive here, and then grab, and the hip closes. Boom, boom. Gedansuke, Joan Aguke, drive forward, and the hip closes. Gedansuke, Joan Aguke, Yakute, Shudansuki. Oh. Gedansuke, Joan Aguke, Yakute, Shudansuki. Oh, hip closes. Alright. Kosuke, Yote Shoshidashi. Kosuke, Yote Shoshidashi. Kosuke, Yote Shoshidashi. Kosuke, Yote Shoshidashi. Kosuke, Yote Shutochi. Kosuke, Yote Shutochi. Kosuke, Yote Shutochi. Kosuke, Yote Shutochi. Kosuke, Suihei Shitochi. Kosuke, Suihei Shitochi. Kosuke, Suihei Shitochi. Kosuke, Shito, Ofuku, Uchikomi. Kosuke, Shito, Ofuku, Uchikomi. Alright, that one I'm going to show you something cool. Shall we dance on a bright cloud of music? Shall we dance? Alright. So here's Bob. This time he's coming in with punches. Block his punches. And here, I don't want to go too far. Sometimes we over exaggerate the hip rotation and we can turn too far. When he's blocking here, I want to get my block securely, but I don't want to be so far that it's hard to time this one. Over here, boom, move into that block. Now I'm going to take the kote, the edge of my arm. I'm going to drop and hit that against his collarbone. And look at where my hand is. All right, my hand is right where I can hook behind his head, and I could headbutt him here. Then, watch where my feet are. I can step around with this foot, push his hip here, and take him down like that. All right, so I could go block, block, boom, ish. Take him down. Using that side step to take him down. So, anyway, that's cool. So I stole that kind of half clinch, stepping out and pulling down like that. Stole that from Muay Thai. Yes, I did. I stole that from them. Yeah, nobody likes that. That's right. Headbutts are effective. So when you're in there, don't forget about that as a weapon. Especially, it's like you may not have the big hands and big wrist bones to always land mega punches that are going to hit people hard. And sometimes your hands are going to be like trapped, right? So some big person comes in, wraps you up, grabs you, and you can't move your hands as much, but their like head is sitting right in front of you. Bang! Hit them with your head. Boom! Hit the headbutt them in the face, and then let's say they're grabbing your upper arms here. You headbutt them in the face. It kind of loosens up that grip, so you can boom, strike to the groin. All right. Kosuke doji shogaminuchi yakute chudansuki. Kosuke doji shogaminuchi yakute chudansuki. Kosuke doji shogaminuchi yakute chudansuki. Now we're going to do that groin strike. So Kosuke geidan shochi uraken gaminuchi. Kosuke geidan shochi uraken gaminuchi. This is where doing sparring can actually be kind of a disservice, because when we spar, we stay away from stuff that is going to hurt somebody too much or stuff that's going to make people not want to spar, right? So when we spar, we have some rules of engagement, right? So we only are really punching the upper body from the waist up. You're not really going to punch, like punching someone's leg doesn't do much. So the only thing down here that has any interest from a hand strike perspective is striking to the groin. And we don't do that in sparring. So if you get in the habit of thinking that sparring is the end all and be all of fighting, and you don't drill bunkai, you don't do self defense, and all you do is spar, you could have somebody who's open to that technique, and you're trying to box with them. Like if you're 140 pounds and I'm 210 pounds, and we're trading punches, you cannot win like trading punches with me if I have a halfway idea of what I'm doing. Like the size difference is going to be a major factor. But if you make me think that we're going to play punches, and then all of a sudden, I'm not expecting bang a strike to the groin like that. So I'm not expecting a strike to the groin like that. I'm not expecting someone to resort to that, especially if I get lulled into the sense of complacency, thinking like, oh, we're fighting, and then all of a sudden, ding, they get me like that. So don't forget about the groin as a target. Don't forget about your own groin as a target either. Like, still do stuff to block that because it hurts, getting hit there. So don't get lulled into your opponent is like fighting. If you start winning the fight, they're going to start playing pretty dirty until you remove yourself from that situation or you incapacitate them. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you were able to learn some good stuff from it, and have a good rest of your day. So